Visual effects have evolved dramatically since their inception in the 1980s, and the credit goes to Hollywood, who's been able to do the unimaginable task of bringing fiction into our real world. It's no wonder then that our famous childhood animated characters are all coming back to life. Hello everyone, and today we'll look at some of the best movie scenes and how they actually look like before and after VFX. So, let's get started. At number 7, Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Angelina Jolie truly mastered the art of flying in this 2019 fantasy film. However, to look photorealistic on the big screen, a lot of it was achieved using CGI, and the wings were always completely computer-generated. Now, to make them fly, the traditional method of lifting them up in the air using wires only worked to a certain extent during takeoffs and landings. So the VFX team developed another method where Angelina Jolie and the other characters were flown in the air using a two-pronged tuning fork rig. The rig worked like this. Just imagine how a pitchfork looks here, with no center prong. The center prong being where the performer goes. The fork also had a steering wheel at the back along with a wire that goes to the ceiling on the top. The people in their blue suits are the ones who manually control the wheel. The tuning fork rig worked quite well, in particular for hovering scenes which allowed the director to fly them backwards, forwards, or sideways in full 360-degree movement. Sometimes up to 3 actors were suspended in the rig within a blue screen space, which were later turned into CGI backdrops. Now, these 2 blue blades which you see at Jolie's back were the ones which were later replaced with animated wings. In those instances, the CGI team would then match the wings with the natural movements in the actors' performances. At number 6, Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Though the movie is almost 3 decades old, the iconic villain character T-1000 is still fresh in our minds. The visual effects used for the T-1000 were highly advanced for the time, combining state-of-the-art CGI, prosthetics, and editing to allow the T-1000 to demonstrate its shape-shifting ability. CGI was required particularly for the T-1000, a liquid metal structure, and this character could transform into almost anything it touches. The creation of the visual effects cost $5 million at the time and took 35 people, including animators, technicians, and artists, and almost 10 months to produce, for a total of 25 man-years. Despite the large amount of time spent, the CGI sequences only totaled 5 minutes of the film. To make a computer model of the face of the T-1000, the VFX team used laser scanning technology called CyberScan. They projected a laser beam across the face of Robert Patrick and used video cameras to build the 3D database. Robert's distinctive walk and run were also recorded and studied vigorously to make the T-1000 as realistic as possible. At number 5, The Jungle Book. The thing that makes The Jungle Book different from any other CGI-intensive film is that it was shot entirely against a blue screen with only a single actor, Neil Sethi, who played Mowgli. All of the 70 animal species and the entire environment was created in CG, and for reference, animal puppet figures and a few people in blue suits were provided for Mowgli to act against, although none appear in the finished film. By creating a digital jungle that is almost impossible to travel to in the real world, the VFX team immersed audiences in an exotic, imagined environment similar to what Avatar did with Pandora, but here they did it for the entire movie. Since the human eye is quite good at catching anything fake, the effects team did a great job in extending naturalism to show how animal mouths moved around human words. They even developed a new software for animating muscular structure in the animals. Such was the enormity of the task that it took 800 shots to create the visual effects of the jungle. The VFX shots took a total of 37 million hours of rendering. On average, a frame took 14 to 24 hours of rendering, while the maximum it took was 42 hours. Around 1,000 remote jungle locations in India were photographed and used as reference in post-production, which would then blend with the animal characters and Mowgli to ultimately create the final product. At number 4, The Walk. Philippe Petit, the man who is famous for his high-wire walk between the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center in New York City in the year 1974. The iconic stunt was recreated in the 2015 film The Walk played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Philippe Petit. Since the Twin Towers no longer exist, the filmmakers had to recreate everything from scratch, and there was not a single piece of real footage available. The team digitally recreated the site, including the Twin Towers and its views of Manhattan as they once appeared. Only the top corner section of the South Tower was physically built, surrounded by acres of green screen. Everything else, the towers, skies, clouds, cityscapes, slack-jawed bystanders, the dangerously steep drop to certain death, is all digitally rendered for the film. Gordon-Levitt, who had no formal high-wire experience, trained directly with Petit. By the end of the 8th day, he was able to walk on the wire by himself and continued to practice while shooting. Along with a body double who performed trickier stunts, the actor shot the climactic wire-walking scenes on a soundstage. It had reconstructions of the top 2 stories of the tower and a wire approximately 12 feet off the ground, which were connected out across a green gorge and was anchored on a pole. The 3D model was matched to the motion of the stunt double, with Gordon-Levitt's performance added. At number 3, Interstellar. Christopher Nolan is known to create realistic-looking visuals with minimum use of the green screen. Now, for a film with so many great visuals, the number of effects in the film was not much greater than in Nolan's other films, The Dark Knight Rises or Inception. However, for Interstellar, they created the effects first, allowing digital projectors to display them behind the actors rather than having the actors perform in front of green screens. To keep the film realistic, Interstellar's Earth-based sequences used few visual effects, one of which was a dust storm so they would contrast with Nolan's vision of space travel, which involved a mathematically accurate black hole, a wormhole, the various planets, and the time-warping Tesseract. However, the standout scene is the one in which the astronaut Joseph Cooper enters the Tesseract, a 4-dimensional space of interlinked timelines, where he communicates with his daughter, Murph, in the far-distant past. The concept was based on a 3-dimensional extension of slit-scan photography. All the elements of Murph's bedroom were scanned at high resolution and were used to create a digital version, and from this, they generated the multiple extruded timelines. The 3D team used this digital model to extend the physical Tesseract set to infinity and beyond. At number 2, Captain Marvel. Everyone remembers Captain Marvel in the Avengers Endgame, where she arrives only at the end to destroy those gargantuan spaceships. In her solo film released in 2019, CGI was used in a lot of the scenes. For instance, look at this scene where she blasts out fire out of her hands. Obviously, it's only stupid to use 2 people dressed in green suits throwing fire flames from her back. The VFX team accomplished this effect by using LED armbands as a lighting prop for the actor. The famous scene where she is plummeting to Earth was done using a digital double for her to be able to close in on her face and really use her face and her expressions only where necessary. Also, to make it seem as if she's falling down from space, there were people beneath her who were moving her around in the blue screen suits, and they tried to puppeteer her to make it feel like she's floating in a more naturalistic way as she would when falling. So finally, the number 1 movie on our list, and yes, it is an all-time favorite film, The Matrix. Not only is The Matrix one of the greatest sci-fi creations, one particular scene has become renowned for its use of special effects in Hollywood and beyond. Yes, the incredible sequence where Neo dodges off Agent Smith's bullets with quite ease. The bullet time special effect is a time-rendered simulation which allows a shot to progress in slow motion while the camera appears to move through the scene at normal speed. The method used for creating this effect involved a technically expanded version of an old art photography technique known as time-slice photography, in which an array of cameras is placed around an object and triggered simultaneously. So the scene was created by suspending the actor on wires, using motion capture, and filming segments with multiple still cameras shooting from different angles. Then, instead of firing the cameras simultaneously, the visual effect team fired the cameras fractions of a second after each other, so that each camera could capture the action as it progressed, creating a super slow motion effect. When the frames were put together, the resulting slow motion effects reached a frame frequency of 12,000 per second, as opposed to the normal 24 frames per second of film, to create this stunning effect. So guys, hope you enjoyed this video. And what do you think of these movie scenes? And which VFX movie is your favorite? Tell us in the comments below. Do like and share this video with your friends on social media. For more such amazing things, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. And finally, thanks for watching.